Hi there and welcome back to Finding My Online Biz. It's Keith A here. Thanks for joining me today. I'm glad to have you here. I really like to thank all my subscribers and all of my new subscribers who have joined, and particularly those who have been commenting on my videos. I super appreciate it. It gives me great feedback. And please comment and down below when you watch the videos, and so we can create a bit of a community. I get some feedback about the videos. And today we're going to a basic introduction to Procreate. So Procreate is a tool that you can use on the iPhone or the iPad, and it's a great little tool. And we're going to cover the interface. We're going to look at how to create lines, rectangles, squares, polygons, how to use layers to fill those shapes, and some of the quirks in the package as well, so you can get around some of those little problems, and we'll talk about those in the video. So don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to click on the notification bell so that you can see every time we upload a new video. So let's get right into it. An introduction to Procreate coming right up. We're going to start Procreate. And that's what Procreate looks like here, Procreate. And just going to create ourselves a new image. What we're trying now, I'm going to create a new. I'm going to hit the plus at the top right. Now I've created a channel art size here. It's 2560 by 1440. Now I can leave the background at white for this in this particular one. I've already got a layer 1 set up, ready to go. Just to do a couple of little practices in Procreate so you can get the idea. I'm using an Apple pen. I've got the pen tool selected at the top there. There's a smudge tool, an eraser. The next one along, of course, is the layers. The next one along is colors. And towards the center there of the right-hand side there, you'll notice there's a square. If you press that square, it pops up a little, and it's actually an eyedropper. Okay, now this at the top here is for the size of your brush. This here is the opacity of the brush. On the top left, you've seen the gallery. Now the little spanner. The little spanner is where we can create our images. It's also where we can have a look at our canvas. We could set grid lines should we wish to do so. We can edit our grid lines and make them smaller or bigger, or whatever we'd like them to be, like so. And then we can say done, top right. We can also share from here. Now this package also records as a video the creation of your drawings. The next one across is preferences. I've got it set up as a right-handed interface, only because I know this sounds funny, but because I'm left-handed, I kept hitting the buttons all the time. So I've moved it onto the right-hand side. If you move this to the left, for an example, you can see it moves over to the left. And all of those tools work the same way. Don't ask me, I just particularly like it on that side for some reason. And you can see the other options there. Now, one of the most important things to start with is the brush type. Click on the brush again. I'm using the drawing set and the mono line. Now, the reason I'm using the drawing set and the mono line is because it's non-pressurized. So what I mean by that is when I draw a line on the page, the line would pretty much the same all the way through. It doesn't change its thickness based upon the pressure I place on the iPad, which for me, I was doing all the time. So that's really important for me. So we're just going to keep it there. You can play with those to your heart's content later on, but for this exercise, we're just going to keep that at that. Now, one of the nice things about Procreate is that if I draw a circle, for an example, like so, you can see it draws a circle. But if I draw a circle and then hold the circle, it creates a vector graphic. Now I can edit that shape. Now, if I want to move that shape and make it smaller, if I put my pen on the black line between any of the dots and move inwards or outwards, it moves in and out. All right? If I put my pen on one of the dots, it moves just that side of the image. Okay? Now, it's an ellipse at the moment. I could say, no, I want that to be a circle, and it would just be a circle. Tap anywhere, and that's now on the page. Now, if I happen to want to move that, if I click on the arrow at the top here, it will move the image. Now, say I don't want to grab both of those images, I only want to grab one. The little funny little S there is actually the selection tool. Now, you'll notice down the bottom, I've got automatic, freehand, rectangle or ellipse. If I select rectangle and select this one, then the arrow, I've now just selected that one. Okay, if I deselect that, I could then select both of them, or I can go back to here, select just that one, grab that, and I can now move that one wherever I want. And you'll notice that they're both on the same layer. It was just grab the eraser and just erase off your image like so. Okay, so let's do the next series of objects in Procreate, just so that you can learn how to do them. So we're going to start off with the line tool. So grab the brush, then go to like so, hold it, it will now be a line. You can edit that line and move it wherever you like. In this case, I'm just going to leave it there. You can draw a rectangle or a square simply by drawing the rectangle or the square on the page like so. Edit the shape and then make it a rectangle, and we're just going to tidy it up like so, just so that it's got the correct in the right lines there. Would be nice if it auto connected to the grid, but anyway, it doesn't. So that's how that is. Now, interesting that when I hit the rectangle again, it moves it back. I find that really intriguing that it does that. So there's still parts about this tool that just are a bit of a mystery to me, I must admit. Let's try it again. Okay, so that worked. That time it worked better. So it just depends on how you've drawn the rectangle. Now I could have made it a square, of course. Whoops. Like so. And that's now square. Now see, the moment you start to move that, it thinks now that that's a quadrilateral triangle. But if I hit the square again, that time it worked well. It pulled it back where I wanted it to be. But I can do a polygon. It's a polyline. I find these a little bit more difficult to play with, but you get the idea, right? So, you know, I can line these up where I want them. And I can make a poly-lined shape, like so. So that's how to do all of those poly. Now, say you want to do a fill on the inside of one of these shapes, and we want to do a fill, or say we want to make it a red. What I suggest you do is create a secondary layer like so, and then, but from the layer that you want to select, hit the select tool. Okay, so once you've selected the inside of that shape, I suggest that you use the feather option so you can feather it out. I'm just going to feather it out 7%. It would be really nice to be able to select that 7% and just make it what I want, type something in. It would be so much nicer, but the tool doesn't allow that. But the reason I'm doing that is that the edges, the fill doesn't go right up to the line, and that's a bit of an issue. So what I do here is I simply select, sorry, I'll put the fill in first. Make sure I'm in the right layer. Make sure you change the layer before you put the fill on. Now, fill. Let's just fill in these extra pieces like so. I'm just filling in the edges. Make it nice and neat. And then all I need to do then is make sure that my fill layer is underneath the line layer and it's all nice and neat. If I want to do another one of those objects, I simply go to the line layer and I simply go to the selection, select, change my feather again. It's the only thing it doesn't remember the feather either. Round about 7%, that'll do me. Then I'm going to select a different color. Let's pick, yeah, that's good enough. We're going to drop that in like so. Now, this is one of the things that can go wrong. See how now that I've got the fill layer in with the actual lines. Now that will be problematic later on. So what I'm going to do is go back one. I'm going to change to my fill layer, and I might have multiples of these, but you get the idea. And I simply just drag that across and put it in. I've now got two colored sections in my fill layer, and I do the same again, grab my pen, and we go and we just color in those lines where it hasn't gone right up to the line, the stroke of the shape, and I fill them in. Then I remove that, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. Okay, I've missed a little bit at the bottom. So the nice part about this is I can go back to this thing here, grab my stroke, and just go like that. Done, fixed. And because I'm using layers and I've got one over the other, I don't have to worry about trying to muck around with getting the lines exactly right. And so that works really, really well. So you can see how that you can create a whole series of different shapes and objects and all of those things. The reason I gave you this introduction was just so that you can see how to work with Procreate before we do the next tutorial, which is on how to create a mouse over hand, and that's going to come up next. So remember, enjoy the journey, have fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye.